What is it that really separates a pretty good manager from a truly great leader? Well, according to author John C. Maxwell, it's not some big secret. It's actually a set of laws. Today, we're going to dive into his huge book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, to really pull apart the core principles that define influence and, ultimately, success. So, let's get into it.
This one sentence, this is basically the entire book in a nutshell. Maxwell's whole idea is that everything, and he means every project, every organization, every team, its success or failure comes down to its leadership. It's a pretty bold claim, right? But think about it. A fantastic idea with a bad leader is probably going nowhere. But a great leader, they can take even a simple idea and turn it into something massive. This is the big idea that everything else we're going to talk about is built on.
So here's our game plan for today. First up, we'll cover the basic ground rules of what irrefutable leadership even means. Then we'll dig into the personal foundation, where it all begins. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the day-to-day work of actually leading. And to wrap it all up, we'll talk about the ultimate goal, how to build a legacy that really lasts.
All right, so before we jump into any specific laws, we kind of have to get on the same page about what they are. Maxwell doesn't just see these as, helpful tips or suggestions. He lays them out as fundamental principles, almost like laws of physics for how people lead and influence each other. So what's really key here is this idea of a framework. He argues that leadership isn't some kind of magical gift you're born with. It's a skill. It's built on solid principles that anyone can learn. But here's the part that I think is just so powerful. He says no single person can master all 21 of these laws by themselves. The real secret isn't about being the perfect solo leader. It's about building a leadership team where everyone's strengths cover for each other's weakness. So, with all that said, where do you even start on this journey? Well, it begins right here, with you. Maxwell is super clear about this. The very first and most important person you will ever lead is yourself. Before you can even think about influencing other people, you have to get a handle on who you are, what you really stand for, and maybe, most importantly, the limits you're placing on your own potential. This concept, the law of the lid, is a total game changer. I want you to picture your leadership ability as a literal lid or a ceiling on your potential. No matter how hard you work or how smart you are, you can never rise higher than that lid. So to achieve more, you don't just work harder underneath it. The only way is to focus on raising the lid itself by becoming a better leader. So take a second and really ask yourself this. What is your personal leadership lid? Is it how you communicate, your vision for the future? Is it making tough decisions? Just identifying that lid, that is the absolute first step you have to take to raise it and unlock a whole new level of effectiveness, not just for you, but for your entire team. So if your leadership skill is the lid, what's the foundation it's all resting on? Well, this quote right here just nails it. It all comes down to the law of solid ground. Leadership just can't exist without trust, and trust can't exist without character. It is really that simple. If people don't trust you, you have zero influence. End of story. So how do you actually build that kind of character? Maxwell boils it down to 3 pillars. First, integrity. And that's not just about not lying. It's about being rigorously, totally honest. Second is authenticity, because people can spot a fake a mile away, so just be genuine. And third, discipline. That's the raw ability to do what has to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. This is how you build that solid ground. Okay, so you've built that solid foundation of character. What's next? Well, now it's time to actually build the house. This section is all about turning who you are into what you do. It's about the daily practical stuff of leadership. You can have the most perfect plan in the world, but if you launch it at the wrong moment, it's just doomed to fail. That's the law of timing. It's about so much more than knowing what to do. It's about sensing when to do it. When you get that perfect moment where the right leader and the right timing come together, that's when truly incredible things can happen. Oh man, this one is so critical. It's incredibly easy to be busy. We're all busy, right? But it's a whole other thing to actually be effective. The law of priorities is all about fighting that natural urge to do everything and instead focusing all your energy on the handful of things that are truly going to move the needle. Great leaders don't just manage their time, they manage their focus. And Maxwell gives us this really powerful filter to do just that. It basically comes down to asking yourself 2 critical questions. First, what is absolutely required? This means, what are the things that only you can do? Everything else, you should probably delegate it or just delete it. Second, what gives the greatest return? This is that classic 80-20 rule in action. Focus on the few activities that produce the vast majority of your results. Seriously, using this two-step filter can absolutely transform your effectiveness overnight. Okay, so now we're getting to the big leagues. This is what Maxwell considers the highest level of leadership. This isn't just about hitting your goals while you're in charge. This is about building something that's going to outlast you, creating an impact that ripples out long into the future.
This distinction right here is everything. It's the difference between addition and multiplication. Think about it. If you lead 10 followers, your impact is 10. But what if you develop 10 leaders? Well, now your impact is those 10 leaders plus everyone that they go on to lead. That isn't just growth. That's explosive, exponential impact.
And this chart really spells out that fundamental mindset shift. On one side, you have leaders who just attract followers. They often kind of need to be needed, Their ego is wrapped up in being the person with all the answers. But on the other side, you've got the leaders who develop other leaders. Their whole goal is different. They want to be succeeded. Their mission is to make themselves obsolete by pouring into their best people and multiplying their own impact.
And this, right here, is the ultimate test. It's the law of legacy. In the end, it's not about the profits you made or the projects you finished. Your true value, your lasting mark as a leader, is judged by how well the organization, and more importantly, the people you invested in, carry on long after you're gone. So after going through all these powerful laws, from building your own character all the way to thinking about your ultimate legacy, the spotlight now turns. It moves from John C. Maxwell's ideas to your actions. This isn't just information, it's a call to action to begin your own intentional leadership journey.
And that leaves us with the most important question of all. A legacy isn't something that just happens by accident. It's built on purpose, one decision and one action at a time. Applying these laws is the work of a lifetime. The only question left is, what will your legacy be?